I see some nods. Well, we're really happy to see so many faces here. Thank you for taking time to come to the meeting. It's wonderful to see this much engagement and interest by the public. So you're welcome to be here. We're really happy to have you here. My name is Keefe. I've been involved in ecosystem restoration projects for about 20 years. 8 of those have been with the Army Corps. I'm very excited to be part of this project, the Western Everglades Restoration Project. I'll be the planning lead from the Army Corps, and so part of my role is to integrate all of these different points of view and try to pull them all together into one project that we can put forward for Congress to consider and authorize, and that everybody can stand behind. So this is a fun process that we're going through, and part of the fun for us is hearing everything that you have to say. So let me give you a little introduction to the project so you can get a sense of preliminarily the scale of the project, the preliminary scope of the project, kind of what we think generally it's going to include, and then we'll hear from you and we'll continue our planning process to get down into a lot more details over the coming months and the next year or two to really figure out in detail what will be in the project. So there's our project area map. And before these presentations started, I actually got several questions about whether or not we would have a connection to Lake Okeechobee. So I would like to clarify that yes, we are having potential canal connections to the lake, and you can see them on the slide there. They may be a little bit hard to see, but if you look closely, you can see there's some dotted lines that go up those canals. So we are looking to relieve the lake of some of those high water levels that these days currently get discharged to the estuaries. We're hoping to pull them south and actually get good water quality, quantity, timing, and distribution heading south the way that it did naturally. And the purpose of this project is to improve that quantity, quality, timing, and distribution of the water that we need to restore this system. And we're thinking of that in terms of reconnecting the Western Everglades. So that means reconnecting areas within this project area, so areas that now may be disjointed, where water doesn't have sheet flow anymore, or it's not flowing the way it did naturally. Maybe we can make them flow more naturally. And also reconnect this area with the greater Everglades, so you have more of the natural connection that it used to have with the greater ecosystem. We'll be looking to restore that as well. So as I said, it's preliminary at this point. Some people in the room have been telling us for years what they think should be included in this project, and other people are brand new to the project as it's getting started. So this is right now just a preliminary kind of conglomeration of what we've heard so far, and we'll adjust these as we hear more from you and from our team members. But right now, the objectives of the project are to restore and improve the seasonal hydro periods and freshwater distribution to support that natural mosaic of uplands and lower wetlands that you would naturally have in the area. We want to restore that mixture as much as we can and make sure that the water is on the land when it should be, where it should be, and for as long as it should be. And we also want to reestablish and improve that sheet flow. So for anybody who doesn't already know that vocabulary, sheet flow is when water is flowing across the land. And sometimes in the past with our projects, we've tended to break up that sheet flow, and then we realized that it was really important to the ecosystem. So now we want to restore the sheet flow as much as we can and restore those patterns and the depths and also the durations that the water stays on the land in the study area, so that we can reduce the loss of soil, that soil subsidence where the soil either burns away or it kind of oxidizes away. We want to make that stop happening as much as we can, and also reduce the number of those large damaging peat fires that we have when the areas get too dry and they're unnaturally dried down, and then you can have a spark and a big fire that wouldn't have naturally happened. We're going to try to reduce those with this project as well. And we want to reduce the loss of water out of this system. Like Matt mentioned, we'll be looking at areas where we may have seepage loss, or areas where we've tried to restore hydration and those areas aren't getting as much water as they should, or maybe they're losing some of that water. So we'll see if we can make those areas work better and improve the ground and surface water elevations as well. So here's a little bit more information about our study area. And as you can see, we've got this white boundary going around the study area. That's not a hard on where we're looking, but really that just gives you a sense of the area and the scale of the project. So right now with that line drawn around this area, that's about 920 square miles that we're looking at to find all the restoration opportunities that we can. So it's a large-scale ecosystem restoration project. We're going to do as much good in the area as we can. And you do see there those potential connections to Lake Okeechobee. So we have a lot to consider as we go through this planning process. This area was historically dominated by wetlands and a mosaic of uplands and wetlands, but the dominant landscape type was wetlands. And currently, we still have natural lands and wetlands dominating the area, and we also have agriculture and urban land uses and infrastructure in the area. So some of you, maybe I can get people to raise your hands. How many people have been around since we originally formulated the Yellow Book? And I see Pete out there. So some of you may remember this diagram, possibly. So this comes right out of our Yellow Book. And for those of you who weren't involved in that, the Yellow Book is kind of our nickname for the plan that we have that's called the Comprehensive Everglades Restoration Program or Plan. And that's the bigger CERP plan. And as you all know, and as Matt mentioned, that big CERP plan contains a lot of projects that all work together. They're all kind of like pieces of a jigsaw puzzle. And each time we do a project, it's like we're filling in another piece of that jigsaw puzzle. And so this is what was proposed to be in the L28 area for this part of the jigsaw puzzle, was this plan here. And this was conceptual. We're not bound to do this, but it's a good place for us to start talking. And so now our study area, our study area actually includes this area and expands upon it. So we're actually taking on more than this for this Western Everglades Restoration Project. So we have some opportunities here to reconnect and restore those fragmented wetlands. And also, as Matt mentioned a few times, we want to improve the system-wide operational flexibility. And what that means, when we're talking about operations, we're basically talking about moving water and being able to move the water into the best place where it's needed the most at the right time. And so every time we put another piece into that jigsaw puzzle, we're more able to move that water where it needs to go and where it would go naturally. So this project, by putting another piece in that puzzle, this project will give us that much more ability to avoid dumping water into the estuaries or avoid putting water in places where it wouldn't have gone naturally, and we can put it into places where it should go naturally. And we also have the potential to help with water supply and flood control benefits. That's always important in Florida, and so it's part of what we're considering. And then we're going to coordinate with ongoing restoration activities, especially with this being such a large area. You can imagine there are a lot of people already doing work in this area. And we heard from some of them at an agency meeting earlier today. And if any of you know about any restoration work going on in this area already, feel free to include that in your public comment so that we're as aware as possible of the things that we can complement and support and work together with. So thank you all for your attention. I hope that was a good introduction to the project. Now Andy's going to tell you a little bit more about